Well, we've got a barn full of totally unknown talent here. All of last year's store horses that were purchased and then obviously have been broken, but then not yet raced. So exciting, all unbeaten at this stage. The first one here, who is very pleased to see us, is DELGANY Dreamer.
Yeah, I mean, so you've hit on what goes on here. We've actually decided to keep all the 4-year-olds together. There is one or two slightly out of the mould, one or two that were difficult to break in or need something different in life, but we've tried to keep them all together otherwise, and we have done. There's a good group of them here. They're all doing all their work together. You saw a few work this morning. Oh,
take my hood.
Likes that, Max. You saw a few of them work this morning. They've really just started to up their game. So this is the start of October, and you'll see a few of them are just starting, their coats starting to turn. This is not one of those that is starting to turn, but as we walk through the barn, you'll see a few. So yeah, DELGANY Dreamer, very straightforward, easy mare by Blue Brazil. You keep hearing me say that. I'm quite happy we've got a lot of them.
Yes.
Because he's doing very well. But
sire of the moment.
Exactly. Soft ground, I think, there. So be more likely November than October. We've got an unraced Westerner here who's yet to be named. He's going to be a little bit later. We just had a little tinker with his wind. He wasn't making chronic noises, but it's very important at 4 years old, 3 years old even, if you have a problem, get it sorted. So he's just been on the back burner for a week or two. He started to get going a bit more.
There'll be a few of these that haven't actually got names yet, won't there?
Exactly, yeah. This one has got a name. This is Rockette. She's by Fascinating Rock, who I think has just gone all jumps as a stallion. And I don't think that's a negative for him. I like her attitude. She'll be quite early, actually. She'll be definitely October.
Unnamed.
Unnamed Soldier of Fortune. Big scopy horse. He has held his coat really well. We've got to get him named, actually, because I should say he'll be able to run the end of October.
So these will all start in bumpers now this year?
I think so, yeah. Like some of them might go and have more than one run in a bumper. Some of them might excel as bumper horses, and you keep doing it with them. Others, you think, well, what's the point in running more than one bumper? They obviously need to go jumping. You've seen a lot of those 4-year-olds jump this morning. So
some of these were out schooling, yeah.
So they have jumped ever since they were broken in, basically. So this is God's Own Getaway. The name gives it away. He's by Getaway. I say he's one of the biggest horses from last year's stores. Great outlook, very straightforward horse. Solomon, he's actually 3. He's a PETHERS Moon by PETHERS Moon 3-year-old. We're probably going to run him in the 3-year-old National Hunt Juvenile Series. You see his coat's just on the turn. So,
was he this year's store purchase?
No, he joined us actually from the stud.
Okay.
From the stud he was at. I like him. You see, for a 3-year-old, he's a big.
Yeah, plenty of size. I think again, PETHERS Moon's probably an exciting new sire to the jumps.
What PETHERS Moon definitely does, it gives them size. We can be fairly sure about that. Again, another PETHERS Moon. This is a 4-year-old Lord PETHERS. He was here last year, did a lot, never ran. KASH Tara, homebred actually, by KAYF Tara, as the name might suggest. We bred him here. Judy Kramer and my dad own him. He's a good-looking horse. Done plenty of work now. He won't be long before.
No pressure. Big boss owns him.
Then we've got a horse that's just joined us, actually, a Soldier of Fortune out of a mare called SHURIKEN, for the Coolmore guys. As you can see, he's just decided to turn his coat. He'll be one of the first clipped. I don't know much about him, so I can't sort of go into too much detail. He's relatively new to us. Really lovely mare here, presenting filly out of BANJAXED Girl. Everyone will know BANJAXED Girl. I think she was a 150 something rated mare. We had her in the spring, loved her. I think she's got plenty of potential to go all the way.
Big for a filly at this stage as well.
And we'll have to look after her. We won't be over racing her. You know, if she has a couple of bumper runs this year, that'll be enough. They'd probably say that for all of them. Yeah. In all fairness. MAHLER Moon, again, name probably gives it away, by MAHLER. Very straightforward. He's held his coat very well. I should imagine he'll be ready in October. He's actually not far away.
Hopefully doesn't go by his name in the morning, causing carnage, huh?
He's not actually badly named. When he was getting broken in, he did cause a bit of havoc. You saw him this morning. Harry worked him this morning. I was very happy with him. His owner was in earlier in the week, and we were both sort of quite taken with how his progression has been. Looks amazing in his coat as well. He does look good, yeah. Oh, here's Diamond Twin. He's quite interested to see us. Big horse, big, strong, scopy horse. Yeah, lovely horse. clearly not a bumper horse,
No.
but has to go through the motions.
Yeah, education more than anything for him.
Yeah. This is Donacchetti. He's owned by my dad. He's a presenting horse. Worked really well this morning. He's just come in a bit later than the others, so he hasn't got his rug on yet. But you can see his coat's being held really well. He's got that bit of roan flick in him.
Yeah, he's got nice markings.
Yeah. I quite like something interesting like that. Otherwise, they're all just brown with white faces. Or
Get them in a muddle in the morning.
I think this one, obviously, when you hear that he's out of Asian Maze by Walk in the Park, that's quite an exciting cross.
Another monster, big horse.
Lovely big horse, proper nice horse. Will be ready early November. No risk at all. We haven't had too many no risk at alls. Here he is. Hang on. He's in there.
Eating.
He's in there eating. He actually just gave himself a little cut the other day. Just the exuberance of youth. He was jumping too big and overreached, cut himself. So he's, you know, I'm happy to show you that. These things happen.
Yeah.
He actually worked really nicely on a number of occasions in the springtime. And actually we just started working him this year. And I was very happy with what we saw, but get a little cut, put him back 3 weeks or so, it's not the end of the world.
I suppose when they're learning, these things happen because, you know, they make a little mistake or whatever when they're at this early stage of their sort of jumping career, I guess.
Exactly, you can't pretend that it doesn't happen. This horse worked well this morning, KAYF Tara, very happy with him, out of a mare called Robin de Gals, who was actually a half-sister to Blue Heron. So got a really good family there. This is up because he's a windsucker. So he's got a bit of a bad habit, but some do. You know, you've got to get on with it.
Yeah.
I remember Gungadoo, when I worked for your dad, he was about the worst windsucker you ever saw.
Plenty talented horses that can have a bad habit and get away with it.
And this is Busy Moon, who is a homebred, actually a half sister to Molly Ollie's Wishes.
Oh, okay.
So just do what your sister does.
Plenty to live up to, yeah.
That's it for in here.
Well, Harry's been having great fun schooling this morning, and another one that was pretty impressive is actually only a 4-year-old who hasn't ran for you yet, ELLNADO.
Yeah, I mean, lovely big horse by Bucks Boom. You know, his breeding will suggest he's obviously a jumper, but he's a typical horse that we've had from a store horse, broken in, given him loads of education, went for a racecourse gallop last year without running. We've found that it's certainly the right thing to do with especially the bigger horses, not to run them in the spring of their 4-year-old life. And I know there's a lot of trainers doing the same now. I think that's for a number of different reasons. And I think the most obvious one for me anyway is that you have to now make your own horses. You know, these boutique sales where you have to go and spend literally £300,000-400,000, it's not the real world. You can't spend that on every horse. So we are now in the position where you've got to make more of your horses, and doing that with those 4-year-olds is great. I love doing it. ELLNADO is hopefully a good example of it, and you can see how he jumps. I mean, he's been jumping for, 15 months of his life without even having run in a bumper. And
so he's had loads and loads of education.
Exactly, and it'll probably be another 12 months before he runs over hurdles. But you're always instilling that jumping in them. That's very important to keep going with, and he's a lovely big horse, 16-2. Hopefully he's got it all ahead of him.
Looks a natural anyway. He's definitely one that's caught my eye this morning.
Good.
Number 19, a big chestnut horse, DOYEN Quest. Had a interesting enough introduction to racing, I suppose you could say, in English point-to-point.
Yeah, he was definitely going to win, and the tack slipped after the last, but he'd been very green early on, and it was only ability that got him there near the end of the race. And like I say, he was going to win. He was probably going to win by 10 lengths. And as you can see, he's quite a leggy, sort of athletic type of horse. He's not a big block of a horse. I've liked him in pre-training. I've not done any faster work with him yet. And I can imagine him going straight over hurdles. I think messing around in bumpers isn't really going to help this horse. He wants to be getting out over hurdles, getting some experience, because ultimately he'll make a chaser.
Well, we've got another barn of 4-year-olds here, but this time it's all fillies, and there's 8 of them, not quite as big a barn, but hopefully 8 superstars.
They're 8 big mares, actually. We've been really delighted with how the 4-year-olds have progressed as a whole, but I think the mares, the growth they've put on for not racing and that careful handling first year is very important. This is a mare called Trudy Glen. Trudy Glen, actually, for those of you who don't know, that's Robin Hood's girlfriend. Think about it. You'll get
yeah, okay, that's going to take me a little bit of time. I think I'll have to think about that one in the car. She actually really caught my eye this morning. We got to see her working, and she just looked like she had a lovely way of going.
She's a really nice mare. Another Blue Brazil.
Okay.
I like saying that. KAYF Tara out of ELLNADO Queens on the Walker. She's a little bit behind the others, but I'm very happy with her progress. She's getting bigger and stronger.
Missing her friend.
LOLLOBRIGIDA. This is LOLLOBRIGIDA. This is Laylaw's full sister. Very straightforward horse. Quite a thick, stocky, well-set mare, but you can see lovely outlook. Very nice mare. LE look at the size. LE Beau, sorry. Look at the size of her. She is huge. Big, honest head on her. I don't know where she's going to end up. I can't really see her being a bumper horse, being that size. But you know, I think down the line she's going to be very much a chaser. A homebred, one of our earliest homebreds from the stud that we own in partnership with Colin Donlan is SMURFETTE, out of a mare called Veronese, who we raced but unsuccessfully raced, but she had a fantastic pedigree.
Okay.
Worked this morning, worked really nicely. You can see she's a big mare.
And often the mares that have good pedigrees but don't necessarily make good racehorses are excellent dams.
I think so. And having sort of got into that side of the breeding a bit more now, I think breeding them is very much like racing them. They can show all the right signs, they can work well at home. When they go to the track, that's when you find out if they're a racehorse.
Yeah.
And it's the same for breeding. They can have all the pedigree and everything else, but when the first foal comes out, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
If that's a good one, that's what they're designed to do. So I've been very happy with what Veronese has produced so far. This is the first one, but she's nice. No, I didn't. Out of yes, I did. Worked nicely this morning. She's ready to get started. She'll be one of the earlier runners. Mike Newbold bred her. Mike Newbold and his family bred her, and she's about ready. This is a very nice mare by Yates called CLARAROSE. We bought her at Doncaster last year. Works very nicely. She'll be out at the end of October. Like her a lot.
We've got one here who's tall enough to reach her hay and get a little afternoon snack.
Exactly. She's another lovely mare by KAYF Tara, again owned by the Newbolds. She's out of a mare called NOVICE. Beautiful mare herself, out of a great German family. I think down the line, this one's got all the attributes to be a proper hurdler, chaser.
Big snack.
I can't go on and say to you, look at that barn full of potential bumper winners, because I'm not actually convinced they are all going to be bumper winners.
A lot of them are sort of chasers in the making and all about time.
You can see they've all got good attitudes. They're happy. They're relaxed. They've worked hard this morning. None of them look, none of them are lying down at the back of their box.
Considering like you say, the time of the year and the weather turning, they all look so well in their coats. I mean, there's hardly even one or two that are starting to turn even the tiniest bit, and other than that, they look great. Yeah, absolutely.
That's why you came this week, not next week.
No, yeah, I wondered why you're in a rush. And what stage do you start the sort of clipping? Obviously, once you get into the season, we see horses at the races, then with their clips.
I think we clipped 2 yesterday,
okay,
which was the 29th of September.
Yeah.
So we clipped 2 yesterday. I say we'll clip half a dozen every day now, going forward until the middle of October, and then there'll be a lot clipped
in the
every
routine.
Day.
Yeah.
I mentioned when we were walking through the 4-year-old barns that there are a couple of others scattered around at the other yards, and for completeness I want to mention all the horses, probably 4-year-olds, that are going down the bumper route. We start with DERRY, who is a bit of was a bit of a handful last year by Milan, settled into it this year really well, and I'm liking his work. I think he'll be ready for a bumper in about 3 weeks' time, and I have to say he's one of the most improved of them all, mentally as much as physically. Chantilly Rose, lovely mare by Turgeon. There's not many of them left now, and she was 2nd or 3rd in a bumper for Peter Niven before we bought her. We've just done her breathing, so she is going to be a little bit later in the year, but I do think she's a horse that will probably improve over time and probably want slower ground than she ran on first time out. Glorious Fun is a beautiful big horse by Fame and Glory. He's actually a 5-year-old. He's needed a bit of time, and I think time will still be his friend. I think that he's going to be a jumper down the line. Well, I don't think that. I know he's going to be a jumper down the line, and he could even be a 6 or 7-year-old before you start to see it. He's as big as you get a horse, to be honest with you. Most Agreeable. She is out of Susie Sheep by KAYF Tara, another one that we've sort of taken our time with and I think there will be a better horse over an obstacle in time. I do like her attitude though, typical to KAYF Tara, real hardy mare, wants to do it for you. There's a lot to like about her. Mr. Hope Street, he is a horse by GETAWAY, a beautiful horse, big dark horse, carries himself very well, went very well in pre-training last year. He's yet to come back to us, but when he does, I should imagine he'll be going down the bumper route. Couple of bumpers this year, wait to go novice hurdling as a 5-year-old. But a beautiful horse to look at, and hopefully his talent matches his looks. Milagrosa is a mare by Mars Marvel who is in quite early, and I should imagine will be one of our earlier bumper runners. I can see her being competitive in a bumper, but ultimately making a better jumper. She's probably destined to get over hurdles quite soon. That's Milagrosa. SPINNAKER Blue is a Blue Brazil. She's beautifully bred. She's a very big, robust mare. Needed plenty of time, but I can see her being competitive in a bumper and then ultimately being a better hurdle horse. She'd definitely be a chaser in time as well. She's from the family of a lot of good chasers, in fact graded chasers, so you've got to presume she'll get better as she gets older. VIVA Valentina, by nature of being named with a V, is the last on the list. She is a stunner. By Mars Marvel as well. I just love everything about her. She's going to test her owner's patience, but when you see her in the flesh, you'd be very happy to be a patient owner with this mare. She's a beauty. I think we'll probably end up running her around Christmas in a bumper and seeing where we go. Perhaps 2 or 3 runs is plenty for her this year. As a 5-year-old and even into a 6-year-old, she's just going to improve and improve. So there you have it, the bumper list. Some you've seen, some you haven't, but I do hope that they all have a very big future.
We've got a few horses on the walker now, and another one about to go on is SHOLOKJACK, who won a couple last year and was impressive in a couple of his starts.
He was. This horse travels very, very well. We actually gave him a wind up through the summer before he goes novice chasing this year. But he like you say, he won them well. He travels so well, this horse. To be honest with you, probably running at Kelso over hurdles around a track like that for a horse this big perhaps wasn't the brightest move in the world, but it was the only real race that we wanted to go for at the time. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but I think he'd be a very nice novice chaser.
Obviously, one of his probably eye-catching wins at Wetherby, I suppose that really long straight really sort of suits him.
Yeah, and again, he won at Leicester, big long straight. Yeah, definitely. Something, them big tracks, and I'd say now he goes chasing, almost the bigger the fences, the better as well.
Okay.
But I think he's hopefully really exciting horse.
So how many horses have we got on here?
We've got 6 on here. So we've got SAILAWAY, who's just got a little injury. He had a little problem in the hind leg. It should be cleared up by the springtime. He's, I think, going to be a progressive chaser, a SAILAWAY. Then we've got Blue Bubbles. She actually had a little problem as well. She had a bone issue. She's had a little operation to put that right. She will go novice hurdling now, but I think she's probably more likely to run in December as opposed to November. Dog of War, he's won a couple of chases. He's back in after a longer summer off than usual. He will be around Christmas-ish time, maybe a little later, but he's done really well. Here's Hatcher. I think you have to look up his record. I think he's won 14 races for us.
Wow.
Been an absolutely magic horse. Had a little problem with a hock, but he's back now and doing loads of exercise, and it shouldn't be too long before we can really put our foot down and do a significant amount more with him. So there's a few on here that have had little issues. SHOLOKJACK's probably the odd one out, the one that hasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very happy to sort of show you the ones that have had little issues as well, because they're all part of the team, and sometimes it's not smooth sailing, you know. But jumps horses, the great thing is that even if you end up having a bit of time off, there's so much time in their careers you can catch back up. And
are they on here just as extra walking to get their fitness back up, or are they not quite cantering and doing as much yet on the gallops?
They're all cantering. Every one of these is cantering apart from SAILAWAY.
Okay.
He's just walking. We would use the horse walkers for a number of different reasons. the majority of the reason is to loosen them up and to keep them athletic. You can use them for a bit of weight management, but how much of that really works, I'm not totally convinced. But they like to spend a bit of time out of the box, don't they? So you can put them on here, they enjoy it. You know, you were later on in the week, we're on a Friday today, so if you came in on a Monday, like
Squealing,
the walls would be the walls would be getting kicked and everything else. They do enjoy it, and they're not restricted on there. In the early part of the season, we might put a bungee on them or something on there just to help them muscle up their back even more. But yeah, we don't do that this time of year. They can enjoy themselves on there.
So we saw a Jack Hobbs unnamed and unraced 4-year-old earlier out of Sherry, who I guess will be starting in bumpers, probably one of last year's store purchases?
No, actually homebred.
Homebred,
yeah,
okay.
Homebred. Mike and Eileen Newbold and their family, homebred. Very likeable horse, straightforward, great attitude. Where we end up this season, I'm not sure. We'll start in bumpers. I actually spoke to Mike the other day and I said, look, we've got some decisions to make with this one, exactly what route we go down, but very likeable horse, very, very genuine. I think there's races to be won here.
We're now in the barn full of 3-year-olds who are being a little bit noisy, and I've spotted a couple of long manes, and there's some new shoes going on. So when did they arrive?
They all came in yesterday.
Okay.
And this morning we had acceptable weather. This afternoon it's rained. So I got them in the day before we had the first proper bit of autumn rain. I don't want them out there. I don't mind them out there getting a little bit of rain on them or a little bit of cold on them. But when we were due 10 mil today, so they don't want to be out when it's like that. They do want all the time they can have out there though, because they want to be growing and getting stronger. But they've got to come in at some point and start. So like you say, the shoes are going on. They're all fairly hairy, and a few of them have got some funny looking coats on them and all sorts, but this is the start of it. People get to the races and they see all the beautifully turned out and everything else. This is actually the raw ingredients. This is how it begins. Long
forelock like this, and by the time they go to the races in a year's time, they look immaculate.
Exactly. He was actually a horse we bought as a foal.
Okay.
He's a cap guard. We actually bought him as a foal, and you can see how big and strong he is. But we broke him in as a 2-year-old, rode him a little bit as a 3-year-old. He must be getting all the goodness out of his food for his mane to grow like that. But we're not. I want to. When I'm presenting this to the owners, especially, I want them to understand. They know this anyway, but I want them to see that this is what happens. This is part of it. Earlier on, I showed you a picture of a horse with a little cut on his leg. These things happen. It's part of it. And there's nothing more important than the academy. You've seen the 4-year-olds. These are 3-year-olds. The academy of what's coming through is so important, because if you haven't got good horses at the bottom of the system, putting pressure on the top ones, it's like a football team. If you don't have something better, or not better, but something younger coming through to push you forward, things can get a little stale, and that can get a little bit stale from management perspective as well as from performance.
We don't want a stale manager, do we?
No, you don't. But you've got to have something to motivate you and push you forward. And actually, these horses, in 6 weeks' time, when they've been ridden for a month, 6 weeks, like I say, and then they start showing off a little bit. You're like, oh, I love them. Do you know what I mean? So it's a really exciting time in a way, even though it's going to take so long.
Even more unknown than the 4-year-olds we've also seen, but I suppose they've all taken that progress already, and look how amazing they are looking this year. So, from your perspective, seeing the improvement must be sort of so satisfying. And the other thing I wanted to ask on these horses was, are all of these now broken in?
Yeah, these were all broken in well before today. They were broken in. I think the homebreds, or the ones we bought as foals, were broken in at 2. They were then re-ridden at 3. So the horses that come from the sales. So this guy we bought him privately, Bally White. He's by Sholokjacke. Bought him privately, broke him in the spring. Jack Black here, he came from the Derby sale, so he got broken in. The cap guard with all the mane, he was a foal. There's a couple of homebreds that we didn't stop at on the way that were actually born here. So. Or rather at the stud. So there's a mix and match of everything, and the hardest thing nowadays of being a trainer is getting the raw ingredients. So actually training them, although very difficult, It's once you've got the horses to train, you can do your job. It's getting so hard to buy them now, which is why we've introduced the stud a little, because that means there's a number of the horses that are joining us down that avenue people don't ever get to see other than us. They're ours, and they're predetermined to be ours. So that's really exciting and a good supply chain for us. You take into consideration then the store sales, or even these boutique 2-year-olds and French sales, you can get horses younger and younger. So to actually make your own horse now is so important. That's why this is so important. We've, touched wood, we've always been lucky that we've had a fair number of horses, but we've never ever had more 3- and 4-year-olds, because I think nowadays the system lends you to making your horse more and more. You can go to the boutique sales and top up with the 150 grand horses, but like I said, I think when we were exercising this morning, you can't go out and spend 300 and 400 grand on these horses. It's not the real world. Yes, you might be lucky to get 1 or 2 of those a year, but that's not the real world. You have to go and make these horses, and the owners really enjoy this bit as well, and that's taken a good bit of time to get over, is that there is the importance of this academy that we all have to invest in not just invest in terms of financially invest, but in the time.
It takes patience.
It does, and we've all heard patience is one of the most important parts of owning a horse, and it really, really is, especially if you're getting involved at this age. But no one else knows how good these are. No one's tried these horses, no one's tested these horses. These could be Gold Cup horses, you don't know. But if you have a certain amount of those coming through, it can only be good for the system. Yeah,
absolutely. And obviously, it's great that they're straight into your way of learning, your routine, and they sort of know no difference. So, fingers crossed, these are the next bunch of superstars coming through. We've already seen a bunch of unbeaten 4-year-olds. Now we've got a bunch of unbeaten 3-year-olds going to war soon as well.
Shame I have to run them and get beaten, isn't it?
Well, I hope that everyone has absolutely loved seeing and hearing about their horses, the facilities and everything ahead of the season. Dan, thank you so much for letting me come and see the horses as well. And what an exciting bunch of horses.
Yeah, we're really excited. I'm glad. I hope that comes across. Normally you have to thank me and everything else, but I have to say I have to thank you, because we mentioned that we wanted to do this and you were very keen, and I hope that everyone gets the impression that we're excited about it, and it's a new thing to do. I hope it goes down well. Obviously the proof will be in the pudding, but yeah, let's get that season underway. Well, very best of luck. We must thank everyone behind the camera as well who is helping us put this all together. No doubt. Well done, team. So thank you, team. And thank you and all of your team who have looked after us and the horses so impeccably well. We wish you all and you all the very best of luck for the season. Thank you.